Hello everyone, I am Taylor and I garden in Wisconsin on 27 acres and we are zone 4B here. So today, January, it's snowing out. We're going to be starting Lisianthus seeds. These little guys take forever to grow. So we start them in January.
My story with Lisianthus starts at the Amish greenhouses. I found this little start for $3 and I took it home with me. They grew, they grew, they grew. It took forever. And finally in August, I had my first bloom. I read online that you should take that first bloom and cut it off. So I had a little tiny vase with my first blooms in it. So I waited and waited until a bunch more were open and I harvested my first stalk, and I was so in love with these already at this point. They make the most gorgeous rose-like flowers and last a very long time in the vases. I made a lot of arrangements with these and they were just absolutely gorgeous. Now that I've convinced you that you can't possibly live without Lisianthus in your cut flower garden, the first thing you're going to do is buy some seed. Johnny's is my favorite place to buy cut flower garden seeds from. They have excellent resources on their website and also a great selection. So the two that I have for this year are this Voyage to Champagne. And look at how many different varieties they have. I think the one I grew last year was Arena 3 Red, but I'm not sure. There's lots of ones that are ruffled. There's some that are smooth. My second one is right there, the Arena 3 Apricot. So they have a lot of different ones, and these are different grow groups. So there's grow groups 1 through 4. And that just means that they bloom at different times. So if you want a long season of Lisianthus, you're going to want some from each of those grow groups. So Lisianthus seed is tiny. So it comes pelleted. And what that means is that there's a coating on the seed and it makes it easier to handle because it makes it a little bit bigger. But it also only makes that seed really viable for that first year. So you're going to want to use all of the seed that you purchase. Now we're on to step 2. When are you going to start your seeds? So there is some math involved with this, but don't worry, I'm an engineer and I'll walk you through it. So first we're going to go to the Farmer's Almanac website. And on here, they have the first and last frost dates by zip code or city state. So I'm going to type mine in here. Oop. And it should bring up down here the nearest climate station, and it shows you your last spring frost, which is what the date that we're looking for here. The May 15th is for my area. So from there, we're going to go back 4 to 6 weeks. So that means April 15th for me. And that's when I am going to plant these out in my garden. Now, I will have to protect them if we have a hard frost in that time with some frost cloth. So there is some maintenance that's required to make them live. Now, last year I did not plant them that early and I had really late blooms, so that is most likely why. So you might be able to plant them out later. It will just push your bloom back more. So from there, then we calculate back 5 more months, which for me is January 15th. So that is when I need to start my seeds by. So it's January 3rd today, and I am going to be starting them really soon here. So 5 months prior to the first frost date. So May 15th to January 15th. So that's what we're looking at, when to get your seeds started. Now that you have your seeds and you know what time of year to start them, we're going to talk about what we're going to start them in. So I have these seed trays, and I got these from Jung's Seed. These are a 50 cell tray, and they have drainage holes in the bottom. I got a 50 because that's how many seeds I have. So I'm hoping that this is a good size, but from the ones that I had gotten last year, this should be really good space for them to grow. Then I have just a germination tray. And the reason I don't like the deep trays that go all the way up to the edge here is that it's really hard to water, and you're going to need to bottom water these a lot. So I'm opting for this tray. It will be a little bit unstable in here because it's not all the way up the side, but I'll just be extra careful with that. And the last piece of equipment for the seed starting tray is this humidity dome. So this fits nicely down around the bottom of the cell here. And that will help with germination. As soon as they're germinated, that will come off. Let's talk about soil next. So I'm going to be using the Pro Mix all-purpose. This comes in a bale, and it's pretty economical. I've had no issues with it, and I'll be using that again this year. I'm going to start by wetting my potting soil a bit. You don't want it to be soaking wet, but you also don't want it to be so dry that it is hydrophobic and repelling water. So I'll just mix that in and make sure you want it to hold together a tiny bit. You can feel it's damp throughout, so I think we're good to go. So then I'm just going to go through and fill my cells. And I won't make you watch all of this, but you're going to want to press it down gently and then fill it again. Okay, because these Lisianthus seeds are just going to go on the surface here. So I'm going to fill the rest of that up. So I've got all my soil ready here, and I want the soil level to be slightly below the top here, just in case I do have to tap water at some point. I ordered my seeds from Johnny's last fall. So this is what the packet looks like here. Gives you lots of good details on how many days it takes for it to flower, how tall they get, how many seeds you get, the germination rate. And then it has all kinds of grow details on the back. And Johnny's seed packets always have the best details. They also have grow guides on their website, as I mentioned before. So we're going to get these tiny little guys out. And this nice little vial has all of them in there. It's crazy. They are absolutely tiny. Took a few of these out. They are very tiny. I've also seen people use a toothpick with a little bit of water on the end to pick these up and put them in here. That would help you if it's an issue to grab something so tiny. I'm glad they're bright yellow so you can see where you put them. All right, so I'm going to get the rest of them in there, and then we'll go to the next step. Now that I have my seeds all planted, I am just going to very lightly mist them here. Now, I don't want to displace the seeds or the dirt at all, if I can help it. I've seen people use a dropper for this. I don't have that kind of patience, so we're just going to wing it here and try to keep them all in place. So once I do this, I'm going to put the humidity dome back on, and I'm also going to put them on a heat mat. That's going to be between 70 and 75 degrees, hopefully. I am going to try to put something under the heat mat because that has helped with insulation in the past in this room here that I have my things growing in. So once these emerge, that is when I am going to remove the humidity dome and them from the heat mat. So I'm going to keep them moist until then. That's very important for germination, and germination is probably the hardest part on these little guys. So once these have their fourth leaf I am hoping that will be at the right time, like we discussed earlier, to plant them out and keep them protected from a hard frost outside. And then from there, they are going to need netting to keep them upright. They do have a tendency to flop over, which some people like because it adds a little whimsy to them as well. These are all set to germinate now. They're under light. They have their humidity dome. They were freshly misted. They're on their heat mat set for 75 degrees. And I'll keep an eye on them every day in case I need to mist them to keep them moist under the air. So once they emerge, I'm going to take them off the heat, remove the humidity dome, and then still keep them quite moist. So when they get their true leaves, that's when you can start to let them dry out more. And that's going to be important to do so that they don't grow algae on here. That's probably one of the biggest problems that I've seen other people have with Lisianthus. So we're going to let them dry out on the top in between waterings once those true leaves are out. And then one more note that I forgot is when you go to plant these out, don't forget to harden them off. And that's, introducing them a few hours a day to the elements outside, most important being the sun. I also have a fan going in here so that they develop strong roots. I hope this video will help you grow Lisianthus for your cut flower garden next year. If this seems too difficult, you can also get plugs from Farmers Bailey's, or you might be able to find them at your local greenhouse. Thanks for joining, and take care.